Welcome to my vlog part 2. This is a special request vlog. This friend of mine, Keith Luke, he commented on my previous vlog, the first one, and he had a special request to do an Afro-Cuban feel with a montuno. So that's what I'm going to do today. The first time I really heard Afro-Cuban salsa music was when I was living in my hometown, Chicago. And I think this was back in the 80s. I just happened to go to this restaurant to eat. I didn't even know if there was going to be a band there or anything. And all of a sudden, this full-on salsa band came out. It's the first time I heard that, and I was amazed because unlike most rock and jazz music, the bass didn't play on one, as you'll be hearing in a while. But just to illustrate, it's called a tumbao, T-U-M-B-A-O. And it's on the and of 2 and on 4 of each bar. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I was amazed. I fell in love with the music. I got a bunch of recordings. And I didn't really get around to playing salsa music with anyone while I was still living in Chicago. I moved to Los Angeles New Year's Day, 1995. It was snowing in Chicago when I left, and of course it was sunny and pretty warm, at least by Chicago standards, in LA when I got there. First I lived in Santa Monica, and then I got this apartment in Venice, and I think it was during that time I really decided to really check out salsa music and learn how to play it. So I got this book. It's such a great book. It goes through all the percussion patterns. Each percussion instrument has its own part. It's pretty set. There's a little variation, of course, but we'll be getting into that in a minute. So I started working with that stuff, and I had a really nice synthesizer with a sequencer built in, so I programmed a couple of salsa percussion feels. And I ended up having this gig with this great guitar player, George Gilliam, in Orange County. And whenever he'd do a Latin tune, if I could get away with it, instead of doing bossa nova or samba, I would put on the salsa groove. And since it was just the two of us, I was playing left-hand bass, so I'd play that tumbao, and I was trying to play the montuno, which we'll get into in a little while. And it just didn't click for the longest time, and I just kept doing it. And of course, listening to the music. It was kind of a long drive from Newport Beach back to Venice. Probably at least a 45-minute drive. Those were the days of having a CD player in your car. And I had all these CDs of great salsa musicians and Latin jazz, like Eddie Palmieri, Ruben Blades. Between listening to these recordings and playing on this duo gig, all of a sudden it clicked. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I felt like I was in the groove. And I also went to see a lot of live salsa in LA. There's a place, I think it might be even still there, called El Floridita in Hollywood. And I used to go down there and catch this band, Johnny Polanco's All-Stars. And they had the most incredible salsa dancers too. I think some of them were probably professional dancers, you know. But it was so cool. I kind of got the feel, but I never really got around to playing with a salsa band when I was in LA. It didn't happen until I came here to Hawaii, believe it or not. The singer friend of mine, Christina Souza, her boyfriend is a percussionist, and he had his own salsa band. She was singing it, so he invited me to play with them. So I played quite a few gigs with those guys. It's called Afro-Criollo 808, and his name is Fredo Lopez, by the way, a conga player primarily. And then I got a chance to play with Rolando Sanchez's band. He has a salsa band that's been here forever. It's Salsa Hawaii. Yeah, and so I got a chance to do some salsa gigs. And I've been incorporating those feels into my own recordings. On my current album, some of my favorite grooves, I have a song called Cha-Cha Habana that has that kind of feel. A couple of Gershwin tunes actually incorporated that kind of feel. I do Fascinating Rhythm with that kind of feel. It's kind of the same groove. The last tune is Rhapsody in Blue. It pretty much has an Afro-Cuban feel, but instead of percussion, I use a drum kit on there, plus cowbell, you know. But we're going to get into the percussion thing right now, the building blocks of this groove. In salsa, they always talk about the clave, the 2-3 clave or the 3-2 clave, and staying with the clave. That's a big deal. So this is the clave. We're just going to record here. So that's a 2-3 clave. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to bring in the cowbell that just plays on the half notes, like a click. So you can kind of see where one is a little more. Let's see. So we'll bring in the other cowbell. It kind of does a additional rhythm. Starting to groove now, right? You've probably seen these drums called timbales. Almost like a small tom-tom, but it's tuned pretty high. They use sticks to play it, drumsticks, but a lot of times they do this groove, they actually hit the shell. This particular rhythm is called a cascara, so we're going to fire that up right now. You know? And then of course the congas start playing. Now this timbale, things get more high energy like solos. The timbale player will play on the cymbals, that casca that he was playing before on the shell. So that's kind of the basic groove, you know. So then we got the bass coming in with the tumbao. Yeah. So that's kind of the gist of it. Now I have to mention about the clave some more. So we're doing the 2-3 clave here. There's also the 3-2 clave. It's just reverse. Instead of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, you're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And a real simplified way of looking at it that I learned, everything has this way of hooking up with the clave. But especially when you play the piano, what they call a montuno, it's like an arpeggiated chord pattern. Wherever the 2 clave strikes are, you tend to play on the downbeat. And wherever the 3 clave strikes are, you tend to play on the upbeat. See? So I'm going down, up. Now if I can start on bar 2, that's automatically going to put us into a 3-2 clave. So I'm actually going to start playing on the upbeat. So instead of, I'm going to. That's kind of a cool feel too, you know. That kind of thing. So I'm going to do the montuno now. And another thing I really dig about salsa, the montunos, a lot of times they'll feature the minor 6 chord. So instead of and for the E, the 2nd chord, are flat 9. So we'll do that for a while. A little variation, you know. And Then when you solo, you can always also keep in mind this downbeat, upbeat pattern thing on this 2-3 clave. I set the cycle thingy over here to start on the second bar of the clave, so it's going to turn it into a 3-2 clave. I'm going to be starting with the upbeats and ending on the downbeats in that 2-bar clave cycle. So I'll play the montuno in that way and then start soloing with that kind of a vibe, you know. Like happened to me, it may happen to you if you're just starting out. It takes a while to really get that feel, but just keep on doing it and keep on listening to recordings of this great music. And again, it's all based on that clave. And if it's 2-3 clave, down, down, up, up, up. And then if it's reversed, 3-2 clave, up, 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 down, down. That's kind of the basics right there, you know. Another interesting thing to mention though, there are some tunes where they will switch the clave around. And they do that by putting in an extra bar. So if you're going 2-3, and then it starts on the 3, right? So if you're 3-2, so they just put in extra bars so it turns the clave around, so the start of the phrase becomes the next kind of clave. It turns from 2-3 to 3-2 or 3-2 to 2-3. That's my story for today. So enjoy this Latin music, and if you're playing it, keep on practicing. And remember, stay in the clave no matter what. Thank you.